Very happy Monday to everybody. Lovely to see you all here with us for the Monday webinar. Couple of cool things to talk about as far as the market goes this week. We're going to get right down to it. Here's something a little tiny bit different that I am doing, and we'll talk about that in just 2 seconds. Number one, if you would like to get a trial to our live trading group, I always like to remind people at the beginning of the week because this is a good time to get set up. You can get the full week effect out of it for free. Who doesn't like free? You can go right there at daytradersfx.com. And you can join us every day. We're live and we talk about trades and we talk about trading ideas and we talk about what to do and what not to do and all of that stuff. So it's always fun to have people with us, and we're a little growing community, so it's fun. Number two, I try to pick the winners. I definitely not 100%, but we do pretty well. We have some pretty good trades coming out of the group think here, so it's definitely a fun time. The next thing that I want to encourage everybody to do, I've talked about it. I've talked about this little detail with a couple of people a couple of times over a lot of years, and that is this simple concept. What I want everybody to do, I'm doing something a little just experimental. I'm going to see how it works for the group. All I care about, and this isn't for the group, this is for everybody. This is for absolutely everybody, paying members or not. I want you guys, number one, to read this link that I've just sent over. I'm going to send it out in the email as well. It's posted on my website. It's a little tricky to come across, but read this link. Save this link. What I want everybody to do is I want you to start sending me detailed explanations, brief but detailed explanations of why you take the trades you take. Not for any reason like I want to steal your trade ideas or anything like that. I want those that think that they could benefit, and I'm pretty sure that everybody can benefit from such activity. I want you to send me charts that have your trade ideas, the reasons that you got into trades. In that link is my email address, is my Twitter, is everything, and I want you to send me some charts with very brief, detailed explanations on why you took the trades that you took, why you got in, and it's really the purpose of benefiting you as well as me, because I get to see a little bit of what everybody's doing, but mostly I think it's very helpful for people to explain why they're taking the trades that they're taking, and even if it's just a brief explanation, something easy, it's going to take a lot of my time, and I'm not suggesting that you send me a trade and wait for me to reply before you take the trade. Just take the trade and then send me a screenshot and say, this is what I did, and just write some detailed instructions on why you did what you did. And I'm going to look over them, and I'm going to reply to as many people as I can. I'm going to make comments on as many charts as I can and reply to as many tweets and emails and wherever else they come from. And hopefully it will be a helpful situation for everybody. So read the link, get the information. I'm going to include this in an email and email it out to everybody as well. And I hope it is helpful, and I'm very positive that it will be. Okay, so is everybody clear on the sending me your trade ideas? And again, this is not I'm not trying to rip people's trade ideas off. Just after you've taken a trade or before you're going to take a trade, just and only do this if you feel like it'll be helpful to you. If you are trading and making tons of money and you don't want to mess with this kind of a thing, absolutely do not. But if you feel like your trading could improve a little bit with a little bit of accountability to somebody else, then send me screenshots of your charts. I think it'll be a huge help for you. It's always good to really explain what we're already doing. It really clarifies a lot of things, and it's a great method. It's a little tricky on a mobile device for sure, but I've made 2 little videos. When you read this post, there's 2 little videos in there on how to do it easily on MetaTrader and how to use it, do it on TradingView. Okay, enough of that. Read the post, read the details. I'll post this link again, and it'll be in the email that I send out with the recording of this. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We have a lot of news coming out this week. It's always a little bit of a bummer when we have these kinds of things like the FOMC meeting minutes and that kind of stuff. The meeting minutes is a little less impactful. There's not a lot of activity that happens with that, but oftentimes dollar pairs can really slow down until those meeting minutes. Anything U.S. Federal Reserve related. And it's just, it can kind of slow things down. Okay, great, Ron. Excellent. So that's coming on Wednesday. U.S. dollar pairs might be just a tiny bit choppy until that news hits, and they might not. So we'll see. We're going to do a live event for the meeting minutes for sure, and we're going to do some live events for group members for some of this other stuff as well. We've got a lot of CPI news coming out this week that can get things moving a little bit. Draghi's going to speak on Friday, so keep an eye out for some of that. But we've just got a lot of kind of spread out news. There's going to be quite a bit of activity this week in the news arena, so just keep an eye on that. Okay, so I have some excellent news, and that is I have no idea where the markets are going this week. I mean, not a clue. Are there any questions? No, okay, but really, I have no idea. So all I can say is that sometimes I have really strong impressions, for a lot of different, technical and fundamental reasons and so on, and I'm really confident that something is going to happen. And I really don't think I'm confident about the direction of anything this week. All I know that I'm going to be able to do is watch for a couple of setups and hopefully jump in and make some money on those. Let's talk about the first one. I'm only interested in about 4 pairs this week, maybe 5 if we stretch it. The euro dollar is very interesting. It's at a crucial level. 10700 is a pretty important situation for me. 10700, the euro has been hanging down below 10700. It definitely took a little bit of a dive down with that horrible event that happened in Paris over the weekend. The euro spiked down and left a gap, and then it filled the gap, and then it continued down. And again, if we have anybody from Paris in here or from France or anywhere, it's a horrible thing, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody over there. So as far as this euro goes, it's an interesting setup that we have right now, and I don't know exactly what I see happening here. I know that 10700 is an important level for me, and I know that we've got a nice double bottom here at about 10675. So basically, it's simple is simple. If 10675 breaks, then I'm just going to be short and write it down as long as I can. If this gets back up above 10700, I think we could see the euro headed into some upper levels here, some decent upper levels. And the only reason I think that this double bottom might hold right here, this euro dollar double bottom, that it might hold, is because if we flip over to the flip side here of the dollar Swiss franc, which I rarely look at, almost never, we have kind of an interesting setup on the dollar Swiss franc. The 1 hour chart you can see on my indicator is going bananas. It hasn't touched the 200 moving average for 438 bars. That's a long time. And we're beyond maximum pips stretchage and all kinds of stuff. So the dollar Swiss franc is like really overbought on the short term scale. You can see this 1 hour chart looks really overextended. The 4 hour chart is just a nice steady uptrend here, and it's just been running up fairly nicely. And we even have a 4 hour arrow here. It's not quite as overextended as the 1 hour chart. We're only at 11%, but the 1 hour is like super extended, and the 200 moving average on the 1 hour chart is not super far down. It's only about 80 pips, but I'm wondering if this is going to make a nice dip down because of how overextended it is on the shorter term charts. If this is planning on making a little dip down to some of these missed pivots and 200 moving averages and so on, and if that happens, we can basically count on the euro bouncing off of this double bottom and heading up into 10750, 10800, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So that's where normally I would just say, let's sell the break of 106.75 and short the heck out of this thing and go for it. But with how overextended the 200 or the dollar Swiss franc is, I could very easily see this coming back down and making a nice little move in the direction of some of these lower missed pivot points and targets and so on. If we look at the 1 hour chart and we just kind of zoom this out just a little bit, we do have a bit of a rising wedge. It's kind of it's kind of an interesting, semi-gnarly one, but I mean, I guess it depends where we want to draw from. I would normally just go back and really take this thing into the big levels here, but you could even make it a lot smaller than that. But we have a nice rising wedge, and if we look at it even on shorter term time frames here, you can see like this, as soon as it decides to come up, the 15-minute chart is kind of topping out here, and we can draw some trend lines, we can do a couple of things. But this dollar Swiss franc looks like it's ready to come down to some degree. I don't know how much, but it looks like it's going to come down a bit. And so that could really change the picture on the euro dollar. So euro dollar is kind of at this 106.75 to 10700 balancing act area. If it breaks 106.75, it may not go shooting down, is basically what I'm saying. It might just move down 50 pips or 60 pips or 70 pips. And it might run like crazy. I don't know. But with how extended the Swiss franc is, I would be a little more careful on euro dollar shorts, because I think the dollar Swiss franc is going to sell off and go short at some point in the near future here. So that's what we're looking at. We're going to get some very specific entries for group members and so on as the week goes on this dollar Swiss franc, and specifically on the euro dollar. We're pretty specific on the euro dollar with those levels we just talked about, but the dollar Swiss franc needs to kind of continue developing and setting up, and we'll be looking at some trading ideas for that one in the next, over the next 12, 24 hours. We should have some exciting stuff there. Let's go to the pound dollar for just a moment. I like the pound dollar. It had a big run down. It's retraced 50% of the high to low of the last couple of weeks. It made almost a 500 pip move down, retraced exactly 50%, and then it's been coming off and breaking some trend lines and so on. Basically, on pound dollar, if we can make some sort of decent move below 150, 175, I'll probably short pound dollar from there and just kind of look for 50 and 100 pip increments of movement down below 150, 175 on pound dollar. So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eye on there. Dollar CAD is getting a little extended on the 1 hour chart. We'll see what that one does. I'm not super excited about that. We have a decent price pattern on Australian dollar versus the US dollar, so a pretty decent little price pattern here. A nice trend line. This is on the daily chart. We've got a daily setup on the 200 moving average that says we might see some movement to the upside, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Watch this trend line break and look for a little bit of a move up, a little bit of a move towards some of these missed pivots and 200 moving average and so on. Again, I'm not looking for any kind of significant move here on Australian dollar, US dollar to the upside. I'm going to look for 50 to 75 pips up. If it breaks down, I would be a little bit more inclined to look for a longer term move to the downside. If we break this ascending trend line right here of this triangle, then I would be looking for that nice little nice little move down of 1 to 200 pips. I think there's some good potential there. So that's Australia versus US dollar. Pretty nice little setup there. We have a rising wedge on the Aussie, New Zealand. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, not super interested. And I'm really not interested in anything else at this point until we get to the pound Swiss franc. The pound Swiss franc, we've already talked about how the US dollar versus the Swiss franc is extremely overbought, and the pound versus the Swiss franc is getting a little bit overbought. It's working its way up into that, and we've got this fantastic double top happening right here at about 153.50. It's sitting right at it, and we've got a fantastic little trend line right here. So if this 153.50 double top breaks, which it probably will, we'll see. Then let's look for some nice upside movement. We've got this high going back here a couple of months to August, which is only about 75 pips away. As you can see, actually it's only about 60 pips away. You can see my theme for this week is kind of shorter term trades. 50 to 75 pips is kind of what I'm looking for on everything. And so pound Swiss franc, I think we could get a decent little move up, and I think there's definitely more than 50 to 75 pips, but at least at this point, I would just be looking if that 153.50 breaks, which again, it's sitting at right now, so be prepared to watch this. If that breaks, let's look for a move up into 154.100, 154.25, and then from there, see how it behaves. It may run a lot further, it may not. But if we get more consolidation and we get a break of this ascending trend line, then we've got some pretty fantastic missed pivot points down here, a couple hundred pips. And so there's some good opportunities there. We've got our current weekly pivot that has not been reached, that's down here about currently almost 100 pips below market price, and we've got a lot of bigger targets down there as well. So I'm going to be looking for a break of that ascending trend line on the pound Swiss franc, as well as a break of this double top. I'm just going to kind of trade whichever one. I think that double top's probably going to break and give us a little bit, but if it does, it may break, make one more high, give us an opportunity to draw a perfect rising wedge, and then we can start shorting it at a higher price. But at this point, watch 153.50 and this ascending trend line right there. Look for a break. Watch this little beautiful price pattern here on the Aussie dollar. Trade a break in either direction. And let's watch 151.75 on pound dollar. And let's watch 106.75 on euro dollar. If that breaks or if that holds, keeping in mind, let's use the dollar Swiss franc as kind of a cue for the euro dollar, and vice versa. Let's kind of use them against each other. If the euro dollar starts to break 106.75, then the dollar Swiss franc is going to head higher, and that's going to make shorting this pair even better and even more exciting. If this starts to come off these highs and starts making its way down towards the 200 moving average, then let's be prepared to buy a little bit of euro dollar against 106.75. Keep some super tight stops. See if this is going to maybe run up to some of these pivots here and give us a little bit of movement there. So we've got some interesting trading opportunities. We may have a nice double bottom. This hit, we had a perfectly bullish candle right after that, and it seems to be holding above 106.75 decently well. Let's use the Swiss franc to help confirm an entry on the pound dollar, and let's use the pound dollar to help confirm an entry on the Swiss franc. Or excuse me, euro dollar, not pound dollar. And let's keep watching the pound dollar, because we've got some nice setups there. But all my attention basically is going to be on euro dollar, dollar Swiss franc, pound dollar, and pound Swiss franc. I'm not liking any of the yen pairs much this week. Nothing too exciting for me on pound New Zealand, euro New Zealand. The yen pairs, have good potential sometimes. They're just kind of boring. Everything is a little too choppy for me. But these four major pairs I like a lot. And the fifth one being Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar looks decent, and we may be able to get a little bit of a move out of the Aussie dollar. But let's keep an eye on euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss franc, and pound Swiss franc. I think those are going to be our money traders going into the first part of this week. We'll have some updates and some more setups and trades to watch after that, but I really like those four pairs the most. So that's the story. That's what I'm sticking to. Let's make some money on those. We've got lots of live sessions coming. I'm going to be up bright and early at 4 o'clock at least every morning with the group, and we'll do our typical 6 a.m. sessions, but I'll be in a couple hours before that, and we'll be looking for trading ideas and things to do. And for the meantime, send me your charts. Remember, I just barely posted this. I'm going to send this out with everything. I would love to be your conscience. Allow me to be your conscience. The link is right above some of the most recent typings. Read through this. It'll tell you a little bit more about what I'm trying to do, and it'll give you all the information you need. And if you have any information or any questions, just send me an email. Send me a tweet, a tweeter. And I'd love to hear from you guys. So thanks, everybody. Happy trading. I look forward to this week. I think we have some really exciting setups. And I hope to see some of you guys in a free trial for the trade group. We'd love to have you with us. Thanks, everybody. Happy trails. Speak soon.